Hi friends, welcome back. In the last videos, we covered about the first new feature in Java 9. What is that new feature, sir? Private methods inside interfaces. We covered already, right? Sir, what is the purpose of private method inside interface? Just for only one word. What is that word, sir? Anyone can you please spell out? What is the word? We discussed private methods inside interfaces. From Java 9 version onwards, happily we can take private method inside interface. What is the purpose, right? Reusability. Reusability of the code. Length of the code will be reduced. Readability of the code by default will be improved. Okay, that was the first new feature what we covered at the part of this video series. Sir, now the next new feature what I have to discuss is try with the resources. Sir, try with the resources enhancements. Are you getting? Try with the resources. This concept not came in the 1.9 version. Sir, try with the resources concept already came in the 1.7 version only. Okay. In the 1.9 version, there are some changes. There are some extra things added. That's why the topic name is try with the resources enhancements. But to understand this enhancement, first you people should aware what is the try with the resource. Some people may not aware. Okay, sir, what the try with the resource, next what loopholes are there. Once you people are feeling comfortable, then I will talk about enhancements which came in the 1.9 version. Right, be ready. Almost around 1 hour to 1.5 hours I will spend on this concept so that you people can feel more comfortable, right? Sir, now I hope you people may aware exception handling. Sir, in any programming language, everywhere in any technology, exception handling is the very common, sir. Exception handling. Sir, what is the meaning of exception handling? Okay, sir, at runtime, if something goes wrong, at runtime, if something goes wrong, sir, our program should be in a position to continue normally. Are you getting that? So we have to define some alternative way to continue rest of the program normally. Exception handling. In our core Java classes, whenever we are the kid, we discussed already what is exception handling, right? Sir, anyway, here I'm not going to talk what is exception handling, what is the purpose and so on, right? Sir, in the exception handling, usually which keywords we are going to use in Java? In Java exception handling, which keywords we are going to use? Try, catch, finally. I hope you people may aware, right? Try, catch, finally. Here the syntax is something like try, sir. Okay, try. Next and after that catch block, sir, catch block, and then we can have finally block. Are you getting? Try block, catch block, and then what? Finally block. Sir, in the try block, which code we can take? In the try block, which code we can take? In the catch block, what code? Or in the finally block, what code? You should have some minimum clarity, right? So I hope you people are already aware, sir. In the try block, the code which may raise an exception. Are you getting that, sir? I'm performing database code. There may be a chance of SQL exception. Sir, I'm performing file writing. I want to write the data to the file. That code I'm writing. There may be a chance of IO exception. So the code which may raise an exception, such type of code is called risky code. Are you getting what is this code, sir? Risky code, but not whiskey, sir. Okay, risky code. Whiskey is also risky only, of course. Okay, sir, the code which may raise an exception, that code we have to take inside try block. Clear for all of right? That code is called what? Risky code. Sir, while executing this code, if there is any exception is coming, if there is any problem or exception is coming, immediately catch block is going to execute. Within the catch block, we have to write which codes are handling code. Clear for all of it, right? Sir, which code we have to write inside catch block, right? Handling code. Sir, there is a problem with Oracle database. Sir, no problem. Don't stop the program. Use MySQL database. Use MySQL database. Something like we have to define alternative flow inside catch block. Clear up to this, right? So inside try block, which code we are going to take? Risky code. Inside catch block, which code we are going to take? Handling code. Clear, right? Sir, next inside finally block, which code we require to take, sir? Very simple. Suppose I open one database connection. Once our job completed, we have to close that database connection. closing database connection is called resource deallocation code. Are you getting? Whatever resources you open, can you please deallocate? Can you please reallocate? I'm no longer these resources I don't want to use, then so that these resources will be available for the others. That's why once the work with any resource completed, we require to close that resource, or we require to deallocate that resource. For that purpose, we can go forward finally block. So whatever resources you open at the part of try block, all those resources where we have to close, right, inside finally block. Remember that here, sir, that resource closing code is also known as cleanup code. Are you getting that? What is that, sir? Cleanup code, not close up. Okay, of course close up is also meant for cleanup purpose only. Okay, cleanup code, resource deallocation code we require to write. Clear? So in the Java exception handling concept, we are going to handle with the try catch finally. Try. What is the meaning of try block, sir? What is the purpose we are going to use a try block, sir? So the risky code we are going to maintain inside a try block. Next, inside catch block, which code we are going to take, sir? Handling code we are going to take. Finally block, which code we are going to take, sir? Cleanup code we are going to take. Resource deallocation code, close the database connection, close network connection, close stream, close file writer, close file reader, such type of closing the resources. Resource deallocation code we have to take inside finally block. Clear? Not required to keep up to this. I hope you people can able to understand, right? Now let me talk about a bit very important concept, sir. What is that concept? Is finally block. Remember this one, very important concept, sir. What is this concept, sir? Finally block. Can you tell what is the specialty of finally block, sir? Here, do you know, catch block may execute or may not execute. No guarantee, sir. Because the reason is, within the try block, if there is no exception, then catch block is not going to execute. You know, sir, catch block may execute or may not execute. When the catch block will execute, within the try block, if an exception rises, then only catch block is going to execute. But there is a big specialty there for the finally block, sir. What is that specialty? Yes, finally block will be executed always. Finally block will be executed always, whether exception raised or not raised, whether exception handled or not handled. In any case, finally block will be executed always. Clear, right? So now I have only two questions, because if you want to understand 1.7 version try with resources and 1.9 version enhancements, first these basics you people should aware, sir. So what is the purpose of finally block? Simple answer. Can you spell out, sir? What is the need of finally block? Sir, to maintain cleanup code. Clear, right? Next, what is the specialty of finally block? Finally block will be executed always, whether exception raised, not raised, handled or not handled. Up to this is the clear, right? What is a try, what is catch, and what is finally block. Okay, that's it. Sir, up to this try, catch, finally, what is the purpose? It's a very clear. Now I will explain what is the need of try with resources which came in the 1.7 version. Sir, if you can aware that, then enhancement part I will discuss. Sir, until 1.6 version, remember this, sir. Sir, it's a very, very important. Until 1.6 version, try with resources concept came in which version? 1.7. Sir, until 1.6 version, what problems we are facing? To overcome these problems, we should go for 1.7 version, try with resources. But in 1.6 version, what problems we are facing? Observe that, sir. Sir, whatever resources we open, yeah, the part of try block. Sir, if you open database connection, if you open file reader, file writer, or otherwise network connection, compulsory we should close inside finally block. Correct or not? Sir, no, that is the purpose of finally block, right? Finally block is the hero, something like which is always going to execute, sir, whether exception raised or not raised, handled or not handled, right? So whatever resources you open in the part of try block should be closed, sir, inside finally block. Okay, let me explain. Here, see this one, sir, a small thing. Sir, I am taking buffered reader BR is equal to null. Just a pseudo code, sample code I am going to write. Sir, this is the buffered reader, BR is equal to null. Now, try block try block. Sir, I have to create resource. Br is equal to how to create buffered reader, sir? New buffered reader of new file reader of abc.txt. Remember, sir, I want to read the data from which file, sir? abc.txt file. If you want to read the data, best reader is always buffered reader, because we can able to read line by line. That capability is there. Just I open buffered reader object. Now use br based on our requirement. Regarding use br based on our requirement, right? Next, while executing this code, if you are facing any problem, then immediately catch block is going to come. Sir, catch block. Sir, I know which type of exception there is a possibility, sir. IO exception. Sir, while executing this code, if any IO exception is going to come, then immediately I am going to take handling code. The corresponding handling code I have to define here. Next, where I have to close this buffer reader? Can you please tell? You have to tell where I have to close this buffer reader. Inside finally block, because whatever resources we open at the part of try block, we have to close where, sir? Inside finally block. Clear for all of you, right? Sir, let me write finally block. Finally, if br is not equal to null, sir, if br is not null, then br dot close. What I have to take, sir? Br dot close. That's all, sir. Until 1.6 version, this is our way of writing the code, sir. Sir, where we are open resource, sir, inside try block I am creating the resource. Next, inside catch block handling, finally block, sir, I am closing that resource. Up to this is the clear? Any explanation is required? Observe that, sir. Sir, this is the traditional way of coding until 1.6 version, sir. What problems are there? Here? Very simple. Problem number 1. Can you spell out what is the first problem, sir? Whatever resources you open at the part of try block, compulsory we should close the resource inside finally block. Correct or not? Sir, whatever resource you open inside try block, compulsory we require to close inside finally block. Sir, programmer should compulsory means gun is there on the head. Hey, you should close the resource. By mistake, if you are not closing the resource, one database connection is going to be waste, or one network connection is going to be waste, or one buffer reader is going to be waste. Like compulsory you should close the resource inside finally block. That is the gun is there on the programmer hand to close the resource. Correct or not? Okay, who is the responsible to close the resource? Programmer. Where I have to close that resource? Inside finally block. Then automatically, sir, mandatory activity to the programmer. So because of that, complexity by default will be raised. Remember that, sir. What is the first problem, sir? Complexity of programming is going to be raised, sir. Remember this, sir, because if you open database connection, compulsory you should close that database connection. Sir, you should. It is the mandatory job, man. By mistake, if I didn't close, then automatically what will happen? One database connection is going to be wasted. So until 1.6 version, programmer is responsible to close that resource. Unnecessary complexity of programming is going to be raised, sir. Okay, first activity. Second problem, sir. There is a second problem where we have to close. Can you spell out where we have to close? Inside finally block. So compulsory the programmer required to write finally block, sir. So if the programmer is going to write finally block, okay, compulsory we should, because I have to close, right? Sir, we are writing finally block explicitly. Automatically what will happen is length of the code will be increases and the readability will be down. Are you getting right? Sir, length of the code will be increases and readability by default will be closed. Remember this one, sir. So I hope you people can give here clearly, right? Okay, sir, length of the code will be increases and the readability by default is going to be closer, sir. Clear for all of you, right? So important conclusion is, observe a bit very carefully about this terminology, right? So until 1.6 version, so what problems are there with this traditional thing, sir? First point number 1, so compulsory programmer is responsible to close the resource. Automatically what will happen, sir? Complexity is going to be raised. Second activity, we should write finally block. Automatically length of the code will be increases and readability by default is going to be down. These are the problems until 1.6 version, right? Sir, JDK 7 engineers identified this issue, sir. Oh, array programmer may be lazy person. If he is not going to close, several problems are going to come. Why don't you automate this activity? Why don't you automate this activity, closing activity? Why don't you automate? Like JDK engineers already thought about these problems. So they introduced in the 1.7 version, try with the resources. Are you getting that? So try with the resources concept came in which version, sir? 1.7 version. Sir, for which purpose try with resources came? To overcome these two problems, right? To reduce complexity of programming, and to reduce length of the code, to improve readability. Try with the resources concept came. Sir, how it is going to be improved readability? How it is going to be resolve complexity? That part I will discuss. Just observe that. Sir, it's the same code in 1.7 version. In 1.7 version, how you can write? Sir, this is the code in 1.6, but in 1.7 version, how you can able to write? Sir, what is the concept we have? Can you spell out, sir? Which concept came in the 1.7 version? Try with the, can you please respond? Try with the resources. Try with the resources. What is the syntax of try with resources? Is, sir, try. Usually after try, we have to take curly brace, but we are not going to take first resource. Are you getting? Try. First, what is this one, sir? Resource. Next, sir, followed by catch block, right? Okay, this is the syntax for try with resources. Sir, can you spell out what is this R? What is this R? R itself is nothing but resource, right? It may be database connection, it may be network connection, or it may be buffer reader, or it may be file reader, like any resource, right? The biggest advantage of try with resources is, sir, this is the syntax of try with resource. The biggest advantage of try with resources is, whatever resource you open at the part of try block, whatever resource you open at the part of try block, this resource will be closed automatically once the control reaches end of try block. Are you getting that? Sir, this resource will be closed automatically once the control reaches end of try block. Remember, sir, now, sir, we are not required to close, right? Sir, it may be either with exception or without exception. Once the control reaches end of try block, automatically this resource will be closed. We are not required to close explicitly. Once we are not required to close, gun is not there on the programmer head. Have you observed, right? Sir, gun is not there on the programmer head. Remember that. So we are not required to close. Automatically this resource will be closed. Programmer can enjoy like anything. Just open the resource, it will be closed automatically. We are not required to close. Are you getting that? Now, can you tell finally block, is it required to write? Finally block, is it required to write? No, because it is this resource will be closed automatically. We are not required to close explicitly. That's why finally block is not required. So programmer not required to close, so complexity will be reduced. Second one, finally block we are not required to write. Length of the code will be length of the code will be decreases. Readability by default will be improved. Everyone can able to understand, right? So make sure, very important point, what you people should aware. Try with the resources is the big change, sir, in exception handling in Java, right? Remember that. So until 1.6 version, This finally block is just like hero, sir. Finally block is just like a hero. But from 1.7 version onward, finally block is 0, sir. We are not required this finally block because this new syntax will close that resource automatically. Remember. Are you in a position to understand, right? Yes, man. Up to this is the clear. Okay, now let me explain same code with the 1.7 version. Try with the resources, right? Now observe a bit carefully. Sir, I am taking try. Sir, what resource we require? Buffered reader. What resource we require? Buffered reader, right? That's why let me take buffered reader. BR is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of abc.txt. Are you getting right? New buffered reader of new file reader of abc.txt. So this total thing itself is resource, right? This total itself is nothing but one resource. Next, use BR based on our requirement. Use BR based on our requirement. So the biggest specialty of this new syntax is this BR we are not required to close. Regarding this BR we are not required to close. This BR will be closed automatically once the control reaches end of try block, either with exception or without exception. Make sure, sir. Next, sir, catch block. Okay, IO exception. What code I have to take, sir? Handling code. Are you getting what code I have to take? Handling code we require to take, sir. Okay, sir. Now can you please tell, is it required to write finally block? Yes, man. Is it required to write finally block? No, because this resource already closed. We are not required to close explicitly. That's why finally block is required or not? Not required, right? So try with the resource is a beautiful concept, sir, in exception handling, which came in 1.7 version. Clear for all of you, right? Sir, can you please tell what is the advantage of try with resources? Advantage number 1. Programmer not required to close the resource explicitly automatically. Sir, do you know complexity by default will be resolved? Point number 1. What is the second point here is, sir, we are not required to write finally block automatically. Length of the code will be reduced. Readability by default will be improved. Sir, same code in 1.6 version, how it looks like? Are getting same code in 1.6 version, how it looks like, but here in the 1.7 version, how it looks like. Are you in a position to understand, right? Sir, make sure this is what you people should aware clearly, right? Okay, so what is the need of try with resources? If you are getting clearly what is the try with resources, if you are getting clearly, then we can able to think about in the 1.9 version what enhancements came. But related to this, there are multiple conclusions are there. Just anyway, we started try with resources, right? Let me spend another 15 or 20 minutes, so that multiple conclusions we are going to talk with respect to try with resources. Once those conclusions completed, then in the 1.9 version, what advantage we are going to get, what extra things he added, we will discuss. Clear for all of you, right? That's all, sir. Sir, now it is very clear in 1.7 version, try with resources concept came. What advantages are there? We are not required to close the resources automatically. Complexity by default will be reduced. Second advantage is we are not required to write finally block. Length of the code will be reduced. Readability by default will be improved. That's all, sir. Now multiple conclusions I want to discuss related to this try with resources. Once we are discussing there, then we will think about 1.9 version, right? Okay, so now what are various conclusions are there related to this try with the resources, right? So now the first important conclusion, you may have the doubt by this time, sir, how many resources we can declare within the try block. Are you getting that? How many resources we can declare within the try block? You may ask, sir, any number of resources we can declare. Don't feel only one resource, but make sure all these resources should be separated with a semicolon. Remember, sir, what it means? Have a look once. Try R1 first resource, semicolon R2, semicolon R3, like this, right? Sir, how many resources I am taking? Sir, 1, 2, 3, like this, right? Sir, we can declare any number of resources, no problem at all, but these resources should be separated with a semicolon. First conclusion is clear, right? Then immediately ask, sir, can you please give an example, a small coding level example, like, sir, very simple. Let me talk about, sir, my programming requirement is read the data from the input file, write the data to output file. Are you getting? I want to read the data from input.txt, write that data to output.txt. If you want to read data, compulsory file reader must be required or buffer reader must be required. If you want to write the data, compulsory we should go for either file writer or buffer writer or print writer, like you know, right? So now my requirement is try. Let me open file reader. Okay, file reader fr is equal to new file reader of. File reader fr is equal to new file reader of. Here I am taking input.txt. File reader fr is equal to new file reader of input.txt. Sir, first resource is ready. Clear, right? Sir, semicolon. What is the second resource, right? File writer fw is equal to new file writer of. File writer fw is equal to new file writer of output.txt. Are you getting? Output.txt, like this, right? Sir, this is second resource. Are you getting? This one is one first resource and this is second resource, right? Have you observed how many resources I took, sir? Respond. How many resources I took, sir? 2 resources I took. This is the resource 1. This one is nothing but 1 resource 2. Clear for all of you, right? Okay. So, how many resources we can take? Any number of resources we can take. No problem at all. Don't feel, sir, only one resource we have to take. Sir, first conclusion is clear. Sir, inside try with resources. How many resources we can take? Any number of resources we can take. No problem at all. Like this, right? Sir, now, what is the second conclusion, sir? Legend, sir. It is a very important related to the API. Compulsory you people should aware, but of course you are not required to do anything. You should aware this conclusion, right? What is that is, whatever resources we are using, all these resources should be auto closable resources. Are you getting that? Can I spell out? All these resources should be auto closable resources. Then immediately you may ask, sir, what is the meaning of auto closable, right? Very simple. Sir, the corresponding class should implement java.lang.auto-closable interface. Sir, if the corresponding class implement java.lang.auto-closable interface, automatically this resource will be closed, automatically considered as it is auto-closable resource. So, whatever resources we are using as the part of try block, these resources should be auto-closable resources. When we say that a resource is said to be auto-closable, when we say that a resource is said to be auto-closable, if and only if the corresponding class implements java.lang.auto-closable interface. Sir, what is this one? Is it an interface or class? Interface, right? Auto-closable interface. This interface came in which version, sir? 1.7 version. 1.7 version. Can you tell, whenever I am talking about this one, very common doubt from our students, right? Maybe in the online sessions or otherwise offline classes, sir, it's a very common doubt from the student. Sir, he is going to ask, sir, is it marker interface or not? No, sir. It is not marker interface because this interface contains one method. That method is nothing but one close. What is the method, right? Close method. So this interface contain how many methods, right? Only one method. What is that method, sir? Close method. Clear for all of it? Sir, when we say that an interface is a marker, anyway, there are multiple rules are there. One rule is marker interface should not contain any method. You know that. But this interface contain one method, close. That's why it is not marker interface. Clear, right? Okay, sir, I hope you people can able to understand, right, sir? So the second conclusion, all these resources should be auto closable. When we say that a resource is said to be auto closable, if and only if the corresponding class implements auto closable interface, this auto closable interface present inside java.lang package and introduced in 1.7 version. Next and after that auto closable resource, auto closable interface contain one method, close method. It is not marker interface. Clear, right? So now I want to share a small good news for you. Are you getting it, right? Related to this point, a small good news I want to share. Usually, which resources we are taking? IO related resources. I mean file writer, file reader, buffer reader, like IO related. Next, database related, connection, statement, result asset, like. Next, network related resources we are going to take, usually either network related or file IO related or connection. Are you getting that? I mean database related. These resources only we are going to take. Make sure, sir, all these resources IO related, database related, network related, all these resources by default already implemented auto closable interface. Are you getting that? Already implemented auto closable interface. We are not required to implement explicitly. Remember that. So being a programmer, we should aware this point. We are not required to do anything extra. Observe that. So all IO related, all database related, all network related resources already implements java.lang.auto closable interface. Being a programmer, we are not required to do anything. It's a good thing only. But out of 100, 99% we are always going to use predefined resources only, like connection, statement, result set, file writer, right? But only one or two times you may create your own resource. Sir, public class my resource, I'm going to create my own resource. Then compulsory we should implement what? Java.lang.auto closable interface. Sir, how to implement auto closable explicitly? A program I'm going to discuss at the end. No doubt, no problem at all. I will discuss in detail. Okay, like anyway, let me check API of auto closable. Just observe that how many implementation classes are there. Oh, hundreds of implementation classes are there, sir. Just have a look once. Here, open the Google. Here, if I open, just let me type java.lang.auto closable. Are you getting that? Java.lang.auto closable interface. Sir, auto closable. Observe that. Observe this one. Auto closable. Sir, here docs auto closable like Oracle Help Center API link by default I'm going to open, sir. Have a look. 1 minute, please. Wait. Yes, observe that. Sir, auto closable like. Sir, do you know interface auto closable? Interface auto closable, right? Observe that. Interface auto closable. Sir, all known sub interfaces, all known implementation classes. Are you getting right? All known implementation classes. Remember, a big list by default there. All these things are by default implementation classes, right? So already almost all predefined classes. Almost all predefined classes already implements auto closable. Being a programmer, we are not required to worry. If you want to observe that, sir, a big list. Sir, file reader, next buffered reader. If you observe buffered reader, buffered writer, like data input stream. Are you getting data input stream, data output stream, file input stream? Are you getting file input stream? Like all the resources by default already implements java.lang.auto closable. Being a programmer, we are not required to worry about these things. Clear, right? Sir, 2 points I covered. Is it possible to declare multiple resources or not? Yes, why not? Happily you can declare. Next, but these resources should be auto-closable. When we say that a resource is said to be auto-closable, if and only if the corresponding class implements java.lang auto-closable, all predefined resources already implements auto-closable interface. Can you tell auto-closable interface is the marker interface or not? Yes, man. Marker interface or not? No, because this interface contain one method. What is that method, sir? Close method. Auto-closable interface came in which version? In which version? 1.7 version. Try with resources concept came in which version? 1.7 version. Clear up to this? Yes. Sir, now the first two conclusions related to try with resources clear. Just two more conclusions are there. Let me talk about, sir. Sir, here whatever resource references, whatever resources we are using, resource reference variables are there. These reference variables are final, are effectively final. Final means you are not allowed to perform one reassignment, right? What it means? Here, legend this one, sir. I'm taking try block. I'm taking try. Let me open buffered reader. BR is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of new buffered reader of new file reader of okay input 1.txt. I'm taking input 1.txt like this, right? So which resource I open? Buffered reader. Are you getting that? Which resource I open? Buffered reader resource I open. Correct, right? Buffered reader. Now, sir, this buffered reader pointing to which file? Input 1.txt. Sir, reference variable is BR. Remember, the resource reference variable is always final. Is always final or effectively final. Okay. Sir, what is the meaning of effectively final? Is implicitly compiler is always going to consider it as a final. Sir, if it is the final, can I allow to perform reassignment or not? No. By mistake, if you are trying to perform reassignment, immediately compile error we are going to get, sir. Okay? Auto closable resource BR may not be assigned. Remember this one, sir. You are not allowed to perform assignment. By mistake, if you are trying to perform reassignment, compile error we are going to get. So, every resource reference variable is always final. Within the try block, we are not allowed to perform reassignment. Remember, sir. Let me perform BR is equal to, sir, same reference variable I'm trying to reassign. BR is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of new buffered reader of new file reader of input 2.txt. Are you getting input 2.txt like this I'm taking, sir. Observe that. Sir, actually BR pointing to input 1. But now I'm trying to point to input 2. Sir, I'm performing reassignment for this reference variable, right? By mistake, if you are performing reassignment for the reference variable, compiler will give left and right. Remember this. All resource reference variable which are used as the part of try with the resources is always final. Within the try block, we are not allowed to perform what? Reassignment. Clear for all of you, right? Sir, let me compile this code. Am I going to get any compile error or not? I will show, sir. Observe that a bit carefully. Here, see this one. I'm taking a small example. Import java.io.star and try with resources. Next, the class name I use the try with resources. Public static void main throws exception. Buffered reader BR is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input 1.txt. BR is equal to new buffered reader. Sir, here I don't want to perform reassignment. Sir, I'm not performing reassignment. If you are not performing reassignment, is it valid or not? Yes. Java C, try with the resources dot Java. Observe, I'm not performing any reassignment because I commented that line. That's why we never going to get any compile error. Okay. Let me perform reassignment. Let me perform reassignment. Have you observed, right? Sir, error we are going to get. Auto closable resource BR may not be assigned. Sir, you are not allowed to perform assignment for this BR because this BR already assigned here only. You can't perform reassignment once again because this reference variable is final. If I comment this line, If I comment this line, now observe, let me compile, happily the code is going to compile. Clear for all of you, right? So, important conclusion here is, make sure sir, so the resource reference variables are implicitly final or effectively final. Within the try block, we are not allowed to perform reassignment. Clear? I hope up to this is the third important conclusion. Next, one more conclusion is there, sir. What is the other conclusion is, it is also a bit important, take a bit special care, sir. What is the fourth conclusion here is, sir, until 1.6 version, observe that carefully, I'm not talking about 1.7, in the 1.6 version, if I can take only try block, I'm taking only try block, that's all, try. That's all, curly brace open and close. I didn't take catch, I didn't take finally block. Sir, if you are taking only try, compiler will give left and right, because try without catch or finally is invalid, sir. Whenever we are taking try block, compulsory we have to take either catch block or finally block. Regarding compulsory, we have to take either catch block or finally block. If you are not taking anything, compile time error saying try without catch or finally. This is the compatible error we are going to get, sir. But from 1.7 version onwards, try with resource is available, right? Try with the resource. Here we are not required to take catch block or we are not required to take finally block. Sir, only this one is valid. Anyway, finally is not required. Even you are not taking catch block also, this syntax itself is the valid, sir. Try without catch or finally, valid syntax. In which version, sir? 1.7 version. But where it is invalid, sir? 1.6 version. Only try itself is nothing but invalid. Then immediately ask, sir, without having the catch block, what is the advantage of this syntax? Without having the catch block, what is the advantage of this syntax? The advantage is, sir, there may be a chance of rising exception. Maybe a chance of rising exception. I don't know how to handle. If you don't know how to handle abnormal termination, no problem. I want abnormal termination only. But before abnormal termination, can you please close my resource? Again, can you please close my resource? So, if I use a try with this resource option, the advantage is, even in the case of abnormal termination also, this resource will be closed. Graceful termination by default will be there, sir. Are you getting that? But here, which resource will be closed? No such type of terminology. That's why try without catch or finally, invalid syntax until 1.6 version. Try with the resource without catch or finally, perfectly valid syntax. From which version onwards it is the valid syntax, right? 1.7 version onwards. Clear? I hope these are various important conclusions related to try with the resources. Okay, sir, we can take any number of resources, but all these resources should be separated with the semicolon. First point. Second one, sir, these resources should be auto closable. Third one, sir, resource reference variables are final. Within the try block, we can't perform reassignment. Fourth one, sir, try without catch or finally, invalid until 1.6 version, but valid in 1.7 version if it is a try with the resource. Clear? Are you able to understand, right? Okay. Now, can you please tell, I want to tell in a single point of conclusion, right? What is the advantage of try with resources? Yes, man. Almost for the last 45 minutes onwards, we are discussing the same. What is the advantage of try with resources? We are not required to close resources explicitly. We are not required to use finally block. Correct or not? So, finally block will become dummy. We are not required to close these resources explicitly. Is it advantage feature or not? Yes, obviously. Sir, until 1.6 version, finally block is just like hero man. Hey, myself is always going to execute. Finally block is always going to tell myself is always going to execute, whether exception raised or not raised, handle or not handle. I'm always a special person, like finally block is there. But this rule is applicable until 1.6 version. But from 1.7 version onward, finally block is no longer required. It is the 0. Remember that, but not hero. Finally block is something like 0. clear for all of you, right? Okay, that's all. So in the 1.7 version, what is the biggest advantage? We removed finally block syntax almost. We removed the requirement of finally block because that activity is automated with the try block only. Remember that. Slowly try catch finally syntax came to try catch. Correct or not? Slowly try catch syntax will goes to try catch, finally syntax will come to try catch. But in the next version, maybe catch is not required. In the next versions, maybe Java 30 version, try also not required. You are getting try also not required. If try catch finally nothing is required, what is the need of programmer requirement? Remember this, automation, a bit dangerous activity for the programmer life. You have to up to date to the industry. Otherwise, your job by default will be gone. Your jobs also by default will be automated, not required to have a special software engineer, right? Remember there, because in the total world is always automated, then at certain point software engineer is no longer required. Only with 5 to 6 software engineers only the total cinema is going to run. Remember that? So make sure take a bit special care. Which thing is automated here? Closing the resources automated. We are not required to close explicitly. In the next Java 30 version, which thing will be automated, right? Writing code, writing try block, everything is automated. Programmer is not required. If you install Java 30 version, automatically the code is going to, based on your normal theory instruction, code will be generated and the program will be generated automatically. Oh, take a bit special care. Automation, a bit dangerous thing for the software engineer life. Anyway, sir, up to this, try with resources. Is it very clear? All the things we discussed, whatever rules are there with that. Now, with this 1.7 version, try with resources, what problems are there? To overcome which problem, Java 9 enhancement came. That part I will discuss. Okay, right. So now it's very clear what is a try with resource, what is the advantage of try with resources. So we are not required to close the resource, complexity will be reduced. Finally block we are not required to write, automatical length of the code will be reduced, readability will be improved. Up to this is the clear, right? Sir, now what are various conclusions related to try with resources also we discussed, right? Sir, after this, now we have to talk about what problems are there with the try with resources, whatever came in the 1.7 version. To resolve which thing 1.9 version enhancement came. Just observe that, sir, problems or limitations with the 1.7 version try with resources. Sir, what problems are there? A small problems are, listen. All the resource reference variables, okay, observe my word, right? All the resource reference variables should be local to try block. Remember that. Let me repeat once again this word. The resource reference variables should be local to try block. That is, sir, if you create a resource outside try block, outside of try block, you can't use that, sir, the same resource reference variable within the try with resources. What it means, right? Theoretically, okay. Sir, can you please explain with a small example? I will do that. But before that, you should remember, let me repeat once again, the resource reference variable should be local to try block. Remember that. What it means, I will explain with an example, right? Sir, I'm taking, here observe that, I'm taking buffered reader br is equal to, have a look very carefully, sir. Buffered reader br is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input.txt. Are you getting input.txt? Sir, I open buffered reader. Can you tell what is the resource? Buffered reader resource. What is the resource reference variable? BR is the resource reference variable, right? Okay. Sir, now my point is, I'm taking try BR. Are you getting? Try BR like this I'm taking, sir. So in 1.7 version, in 1.8 version, until 1.8 version, if I can do like this, compiler will give left and right. What is the reason for that is the resource reference variable, whatever we are using in the try with resources, should be local to try block, should be local to try block. But here you declared outside, and within the try block you are using. If I can ask a compiler, can you please compile this code? Compile time error by default we are going to get. Remember that, sir, variables are not allowed in the try with the resources. Like a compile time error we are going to get. Remember, until 1.8 version, if you create a resource outside of try block, that resource reference variable we can't use within the try block. By mistake, if you are trying to use like this, immediately compile time error we are going to get. This is the problem until 1.8 version, right? Sir, let me show the problem with a small, let me execute this code so that you will get clarity, right? Have a look once, sir. Here, observe that same example already I typed, sir. Import java.io.star try with resources 1. Observe that. Sir, I created buffer reader br is equal to new buffer reader of new file reader. Sir, try of br. I'm using the same reference variable, right? Sir, how to compile? Anyone can you please guide how to compile according to 1.8 version? I want to compile according to 1.8 version, sir. Java C hyphen source 1.8 version try with the resources dot java. Regarding try with resources dot java, this is the way how to compile, right? Remember this one. If you want to compile the code according to 1.8 version, okay, we have to compile, because in my system 1.9 is there, sir. That's why. Now have a look once, sir. Have a look once. Java C hyphen source 1.8 try with resources 1 dot java. We compile this program according to 1.8 version. Like this I'm taking, sir. If I can take like this, have you observed, right? Automatically error by default we are going to get, sir. Sir, what error? Variables in try with resources, sir, variables in try with resources not supported. Are you getting right? Not supported in hyphen source 1.8. Variables in try with resources are not supported in 1.8 version. Sir, we are not allowed to use the variables with the resources. By mistake, if you are trying to use, immediately compile time error we are going to get, sir. Sir, this is the problem, okay, in 1.7 version, right? How I can solve this problem? In the 1.7, 1.8, this problem is there. How I can solve this problem? Sir, there are two approaches are there to solve. Forget about Java 9. I don't know about Java 9. Within the Java 7 or Java 8 only, how I can solve this problem? Sir, solution 1. Solution 1, sir. 1. Okay. Sir, create the resource in the try block only. Okay. Create the resource in try block primary list. In try block primary list. Sir, can you please create the resource in try block primary list only? This is the solution 1. What it means is, whatever approach we used in the last example is the same thing only, right? Sir, try instead of creating the resource outside of try block, better to create the resource within the try block only. Try buffered reader br is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input.txt. Are you getting right? Input.txt. Like this I'm taking, sir. Sir, this is the try block. Are you getting this? Sir, solution 1. Array, don't create this resource outside try block. We should create within the try block only. Sir, solution 1. Sir, solution 2. Sir, okay, even you created outside, no problem, but declare with the new reference variable. What is the meaning of that? Sir, declare with the new reference variable. Declare with the new reference variable. Are you getting right? Declare with the new reference variable. How you can able to do, sir? Sir, try. Sir, just observe. Let me create the resource outside only. Buffered reader br is equal to new buffered reader of new file reader of input.txt. Input.txt like this I'm taking. Sir, I created. But try, can I use the same BR? If I'm using the same BR, compiler will give left and right. Then how you can solve this problem? Yes, this approach, most of the people don't know, sir. They're always going to use this approach only. There is another approach is also there, which is acceptable until 1.8 version. What is that approach is? Buffered reader BR2 is equal to BR. Are you getting right? So declare, reassign this reference variable with another new variable. Are you getting? With another new variable like this, we can able to do that. So until 1.8 version, if you want to use the resource which is created outside, compulsory we have to reassign with a new reference variable. This is the only way. If you didn't create here only, acceptable, right? So the resource reference variable which are using for the try block compulsory should be local to that try block only. Remember that. Clear for all of you, right? So this is the second approach, right? So if I can use either this approach or this approach, happily the code is going to compile in 1.8 version only. Remember that. Sir, let me go for here. Just have a look once, sir. What I want to take is, sir, here instead of taking here, happily we can take here only, like this I'm taking, sir. Observe that. Try in the primary list only I'm taking like this. Sir, create the resource in the try block primary list only. Observe that according to 1.8 version only. Perfectly itself is valid. Again, perfectly itself is valid. Sir, it's a warning only. Don't worry about that. It's a warning only. It's a valid. No compatible error, right? Sir, now my question is, I don't want like this. Then what I can do is, okay, buffered reader BR and here let me take buffered reader BR2 is equal to BR, sir. BR2 is equal to BR. This is the second approach. What we have to do, sir. 1 minute here. This is the second approach. What here semicolon is missing. Don't worry, sir. Sir, this is the second approach what we have to take. Observe that. Happily the code is going to compile or not? Yes. Make sure, sir. This is what you people should be aware. Oh, until 1.8 version, sir, if you want to use the resource which is already created outside, compulsory we have to assign with the new reference variable. If you are not going to use the new reference variable, then automatically compatible error you are going to get. So try of BR. Sir, it is invalid in 1.8 version. Clear for all of you, right? So what problem is there? Try with the resources. Whatever there until 1.8 version, this is the problem. The resources which are created outside of try block, if you want to use, compulsory we have to use what? New reference variable, mandatory, right? Sir, now in our example, how many resources I'm taking? Only one resource. If multiple resources are there, then if you want to use this approach, length of the code is going to increase like anything, sir. Because just observe that. Have a look once, sir. I have 4 resources are there. Listen, until 1.7 version, what is the problem? How this problem will be solved in the 1.9 version? Remember that. Assume that 4 resources are there, sir. Assume my resource R1 is equal to new my resource. Are you getting? My resource R1 is equal to new my resource. I am creating my own resource. My resource R2 is equal to new my resource. Sir, my resource R2 is equal to new my resource. Similarly, my resource R3 is equal to new my resource. My resource R3 is equal to new my resource. Sir, now my resource, only last one, don't worry. My resource R4 is equal to new my resource. Like, sir, how many resources are already there? 4 resources I created, right? Now I want to use these resources at the part of try. With resources, right? In 1.8 version, how you can able to do that? one way is, sir, this is the only possible way because resources already created. You won't create once again. Then what you have to do? My resource RA is equal to R1. Oh, we can't use this resource reference variable. Compulsory we should use a new reference variable or not? Yes. Now my resource RB is equal to R2 semicolon. Next my resource sir RC is equal to R3 semicolon. Next my resource R4 is RD is equal to R4, like you have to take ... Sir, observe first one, second one, third one, and then fourth one. Almost 1 kilometer length came. Regarding if 10 resources are there, sir, first one, second one, and so on, 1 kilometer length by default is going to come, because this is the problem until 1.8 version, sir. If the resources already created, if you want to use these resources at the part of try block, then this is the only solution which increases length of the code and the readability by default will be reduced, right? Sir, luckily in the 1.9 version, from 1.9 version onwards, whatever resource reference variable which are created outside of try block, directly you can use inside a try block, no problem at all. Remember this one, sir. How much flexibility to the programmer? This is the code what I have to use until 1.8 version. Until 1.8 version, this is the style. But the same requirement from 1.9 version onward, try, sir, very simple. R1, R2, R3, R4, that's all. Are you getting right? But this is the code I have to use from 1.9 version. Really, sir, readability by default is going to be improved or not? Programmer not required to use new reference variables and so on. This facility came in which version, sir? 1.9 version. Clear? Are you able to understand, right? Sir, what enhancement came in the 1.9 version? Without that enhancement, what is the problem, right? The resources which are created outside of the try block, sir, these resource reference variable we can't use directly inside a try block until 1.8 version, but we can use those resource reference variables directly inside a try block from 1.9 version onward. Sir, which code is the more readable? Either this code is the more readable, this one is the very easily, sir, because length is very small, more readability by default you can able to see. But this one is the very verbose, are getting that very lengthy code, it is the problem, right? Clear? In the 1.9 version, what enhancement came for try with the resources? The resources which are created outside of try block, those reference variable directly we can use inside the try block, which is not possible until 1.8 version, but from 1.9 version onwards, happily you can use, no problem at all. Clear? Are you able to understand? Let me compile the same program in 1.9 version. What will happen? Observe that. Here, observe. Have a look once. I created a resource. I want to use the same resource, same variable. I don't want to take a new reference variable. Sir, let me compile in 1.8 version. Guide, is it valid in the 1.8? Yes, man, please respond. Is it valid in 1.8? Valid or invalid? Invalid, because in the 1.8 version you can't use. Let me compile according to 1.8. Compile. Regarding one error we are going to get. Let me compile same thing according to 1.9 version. Regarding according to 1.9 version, observe a bit carefully, sir. Please observe. Happily there is no warning, there is no error kind of thing, sir, because this type of facility came from which version onwards, right? 1.9 version onward. Suppose if you have multiple resources are there, sir. Sir, BR1, BR2, BR3, are getting BR3, BR4, and then BR5. Are you getting? Sir, now BR1 semicolon, BR2 semicolon, BR3 semicolon, BR4 semicolon, BR5. Sir, can you please tell, is it valid or not? Yes, perfectly itself is valid from 1.9 version onwards. Now observe that 1.9. Yes, valid. But the same thing, let me ask, in the 1.8 version, compiler will give left and right. Are you getting right? Sir, it is invalid. Compatible error by default we are going to get. Remember that, sir. So, this is the facility. This is the flexibility came in which version, sir? 1.9 version. I hope are you in a position to understand, right? Sir, what is the try catch finally? Next and after that, sir, what is the meaning of try with resources? What benefits we are getting? What conclusions are there related to that? And then what limitation is there with the try with the resources? Sir, what advantage we are going to get in 1.9 version? The resource reference variable need not be local to try block in 1.9 version, but should be local to try block in 1.8 version. If you create resource outside of try block, those resource reference variables you can't use inside try block until 1.8 version, but from 1.9 version onward, happily you can use, no problem at all. So readability is going to be increased, readability will be improved, length of the code will be reduced, complexity by default will be reduced because of this new enhancement, right? Clear? Everyone can able to understand, right? Sir, if you feel comfortable, now I will go for a small program, okay, to create my own resource, until 1.6 version. What is the code? 1.7 what is the code? 1.9 what is the code? Like I will explain with a small program so that you people can feel comfortable, right? Okay, right, sir. Sir, up to this we covered about what is try with resources. Next, what advantages are there? What problem is there with the try with resources? How this problem resolved in 1.9 version? Clear, right? Sir, now I will explain how to define our own auto closable resources. Sir, instead of applying for buffer reader, database connection, I want to define my own resource. For that resource, in 1.6 version, how you can write the code? 1.7 version, 1.9 version. Different sir, version codes I will show so that you people can get version to version what advantage we are going to get, right? Okay. Sir, now have a look once, sir, about this terminology. Here I am taking class my resource. Regarding my own resource, implements auto closable. Implements what? Auto closable. Have you remembered, right? Auto closable interface contain how many methods, right? One method. What is that method? Close method, right? Sir, now I'm creating the resource. Sir, this is the constructor, right? My resource constructor, resource creation. My resource constructor, resource creation. Like this I do. Next, public void do process. Sir, this resource is going to do some process. I'm define my own method, do process. Sir, resource processing. Okay, like. Next, public void close method, resource closing. Are you getting resource closing, like? So constructor is there. If any person creating my resource object, constructor will be executed. Next, by using this resource, we can do some processing, do process method. Next, after completing our work with this resource, we have to close. Correct, right? So this is my own auto closable resource, right? Sir, how to use this resource in 1.6 version, 1.7 version, 1.9 version? Sir, I will discuss. Sir, observe, if I want to write 1.6 version code, have a look very carefully, sir. I want to write 1.6 version code. What is the way we can write? Sir, my resource R is equal to null. Are you getting? My resource R is equal to null. Next, try. Sir, try. Okay, try block. Sir, until 1.6 version, no try with resources. That's why compulsory try R is equal to new my resource. R is equal to new my resource. Sir, I am creating my resource. Constructor will be executed. After creating the resource, compulsory we have to call do process method. Are you getting? Because I want to do some processing with this resource. That's why, like, sir, now Sir, within the try block, I created one resource. Next and after that, I am doing some processing by using that resource. While processing, if you are getting any exception, okay, here I have to keep handling code. Are you getting right? Just handling like plus E handling code I kept, sir. Next, whatever resource we open, the part of try block, compulsory we require to close inside finally block, sir, because I am talking about 1.6 version code. Okay, finally, if R is not equal to null, then we have to use R dot close. Are you getting? R dot close. Sir, this is the code related to 1.6 version. Observe that, sir, 1.6 version. How you can write the code? This is the code related to 1.6 version. By mistake, if the close method throws some exception, then once again within the finally try catch we require to take, sir. Okay? Sir, how much lengthy code? Observe that, because everything we have to do manually. But in the 1.7 version, try with resources came or not? Yes. Sir, in the 1.7 version, with the try with resources, how you can able to do, sir? Very simple. What I can take? Try, here try, create the resource. Okay? My resource R is equal to new my resource. Okay? Sir, observe a bit carefully. You can able to understand my word anyway, because space just here I'm using shortcut. My resource R is equal to new my resource. I created a resource. Next, R dot do process. Can you please process? R dot do process. If any exception is coming, catch exception, system dot out dot println, handling exception handling, okay, plus E, like this I took, sir. Sir, now can you tell, is it required to write finally block? Anyone, can you, is it required to write finally block? No, because this resource will be closed automatically. If you want, I will show with an example. Don't worry about that. I will execute this code, sir. So automatically the resource by default will be closed. We are not required to close explicitly. I will show this one right now, sir. The same code, if I'm talking about 1.9 version, observe that if I'm talking about 1.9 version, same code of you can. The resource whatever you created inside try block, we are not required to create. You can create before try block also. Sir, observe that. I'm taking my resource R is equal to new my resource. I'm taking my resource R is equal to new my resource. Next, try of R. Are you getting that? Try of R. But here compulsory we should create like this. But in the 1.9 version, already existing resources we can use inside try block, no problem. Try. Next, R dot do process. R dot do process. Like now catch block, sir, exception, catch block exception E, system dot out dot println, handling, like it's a common code, right? Have you observed? The difference here is, sir, here we should create, but here the resources which are already created, happily we can use inside the try block, no problem, right? This is 1.9 version enhancement. Sir, if you want to see much maja of this concept, what you can, in the 1.9 version, multiple resources also we can use, right? Sir, observe my resource R1 is equal to new my resource. My resource R1 is equal to new my resource. My resource R2 is equal to new my resource. Similarly, my resource R3 is equal to new my resource. Are you getting? 3. Sir, last one more resource I want to take. My resource R4 is equal to new my resource, like this. Observe that, sir. Sir, now can I use like this? Try R1 semicolon R2 semicolon R3 semicolon R4. Are you getting how many resources are available, sir? 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Observe. Now R1 dot do process. R1 dot do process. R2 dot do process. R2 dot do process. R3 dot do process. Okay. R4 dot do process like this. Sir, directly inside try with resources? No chance at all. Sir, this facility is available only from 1.9 version onward. Sir, in the 1.8 version, compulsory here we are, do you know, we are creating the resource here. We are creating the resource here. Or if the resource already created, then we have to compulsory we should declare with a new reference variable. The resource reference variable should be local to try block only until 1.8 version. But from 1.9 version onward, these are not local to try block. Clear, right? So, how to use auto closable concept for our resources? If it is the 1.6 version, 1.7 version, 1.9 version, and 1.9 version with multiple resources, how you can able to do, right? Sir, let me execute the same code with the multiple versions. I will show, sir. Have a look on, sir. Observe a bit very carefully about this code, sir. Already there. Here, class my resource implements auto closable. Okay, sir, what is this code, sir? My resource constructor, resource creation, resource processing. Are you getting? Resource processing. Next and after that close, resource closing, like this. Sir, public class test pre-JDK7. Are you getting? Pre-JDK7. Pre-JDK7 means until 1.6 version. Before 1.7 version, what is the code? Sir, my resource R is equal to null. Sir, I'm taking try. Next and after that catch block. Whatever resource I opened inside the try block, compulsory we should close inside finally block. Are you getting? So this is the code according to which version, sir? Pre-JDK7. Pre-JDK7 means 1.6 version. Sir, 1 minute. Inside main method. Forget about all. Inside main method, just I want to run this code. Forget about complete code. So, pre-JDK7. Are you getting? Pre-JDK7. Let me consider program execution with pre-JDK7. Pre-JDK7. Pre-JDK7 method is I declared resource reference variable. Try block. Sir, I created the resource, processes that. Next up, finally, I closed it explicitly. Now, observe the answer. What we are going to get is Java C test.java. Have a look once, right? Java test. Regarding Java test, program execution with the pre-JDK7. Sir, resource creation, resource processing, resource closing. Sir, who is the responsible to create resource? Programmer. Who is the responsible to close the resource? Programmer. Inside finally block. Until 1.7, until 1.67 version, this problem is there, sir. I mean, until 1.6 version, this problem is there. But same from JDK7. Same from JDK7. Have you observed? Now, I created resource at the part of try. At the part of try block I created. Next, call the process. But can you please tell, am I using finally block? No. Am I closing explicitly? No, I didn't. But I'm sure this resource will be closed automatically. Because, sir, that is the biggest advantage of try with the resource. 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Let me uncomment this method also. Are you getting? Just I'm calling JDK7. I'm calling JDK7 also. If I'm call JDK7, but I didn't close the resource because in JDK7 with the try with the resources, the resource will be closed automatically. Let me show, is it really closed or not? Observe that, sir. Observe that. Yes. Program with the pre-JDK7 already. Sir, program with the program execution with the JDK7. Have you observed, right? Resource creation, resource processing, resource closing. Sir, I didn't close the resource because the resource will be closed automatically in the case of try with the resources. Clear, right? Okay. Sir, next JDK9. Are you getting right? JDK9. What is the code, sir? Okay. Sir, JDK9. Sir, in JDK7, we have to create the resource like this. But here, happily we can create resource first and the same reference variable I can use inside the try block. Same reference variable I'm using try block and this resource will be closed automatically. Right? Sir, let me remove this comment. And let me execute that JDK9 code also. Here, have a look once. Have a look once. Have you observed, right? Program execution with JDK 9. Are you getting? Resource creation, resource processing, resource closing, like this. Next, last one, sir. Sir, multiple JDK 9. Multiple JDK 9. Sir, how many resources I'm taking? 4 resources. Sir, I can use directly. I can call process. Am I required to close these resources? No. Automatically these resources will be closed, sir. Okay. Now, let me remove this part also. Okay. Sir, observe program execution with multiple resources with JDK 9. Observe that. Multiple resources with JDK 9. Sir, program execution with multiple resources with JDK 9. 4 resources created, 4 resources processing, automatically 4 resources by default will be closed, sir. Sir, if you want to see the maja of this, sir, execute, compile, write this code according to 1.8 version, according to 1.6 version, then what benefit we are going to get because of 1.9 you can able to get, sir. That's all. Sir, anyway, I shared all this program in your material. Happily you can go through that, sir. Sir, just have a look once. This is the material what I prepared, sir. Try with the resources enhancements. Need of try with resources. Until 1.6 version, it is highly recommended to write finally block to close all resources which are open at the part of try block. Sir, where I am closing the resource? Inside finally block. Problems in this approach. Complexity, compulsory programmer is required to close all open resources which increases complexity. Compulsory we should write finally block explicitly which increases length of the code and reduces readability. To overcome these problems, some people introduced what is the concept, right? Try with resources in 1.7 version. Sir, try with resources, the main advantage is resources which are open at the try block will be closed automatically once the control reaches end of try block, either normally or abnormally. Hence we are not required to close explicitly so that complexity of programming will be reduced. Remember this one, sir. It is not required to write finally block. Automatically length of the code will be reduced, readability will be improved. Are you getting? So we are not required to close the resource, complexity will be reduced, and finally block we are not required to write, readability will be improved, right? Yes, try block, sir, like this is. Next, conclusions, right? We can take multiple resources. Next, all the resources should be auto closable. Next, and after that, all resource reference variable should be final. Within the try block, we can perform reassignment. Next, and after that, try without catch or finally valid syntax from 1.7 version. Okay, line. Sir, this line is the very important line. The main advantage of try with resources is finally block will become dummy because we are not required to close the resources explicitly. Sir, problems with JDK 7. The resource reference variable which are created outside try block cannot be used directly in try with resources. Sir, I created resource here. Now I am using. This is the problem with the try with resources until 1.8 version. The syntax is invalid in 1.8 version. To overcome this problem, we should go for 1.9 version. Of course, in 1.8, how you can solve? Create that creation of resource in the try block only. Yes, or redeclare this reference variable with another. Okay, like I covered in the last videos very clearly all these things, right? Don't worry about that. Happily you can. Next, sir, this enhancement are getting in the 1.9 version. Happily we can use these resource reference variables, so no problem at all, sir. Sir, whatever example I covered, executed, this is the code. Make sure you can. If you are going to refer, that's all. This is the almost around 6 pages material is ready, sir. If you are going to refer this material 2 times or 3 times, then you people can get very clearly. In your videos folder, material folder also by default will be there. There all these things by default will be available, sir. Don't worry about that. Clear? Not required to keep much explanation about this. Try with resources. A small enhancement, but which reduces length of the code like anything in our regular programming. That's all, sir. Thank you.